first. There we go. Okay, all right, and so to advance it, yeah, I have to go to present mode. Trying to move this bar out of the way. Oh, play, right? Okay, now I'm going to move this back. Every time I touch it, it's going to try to open. The cursor is gone.
The cursor disappeared.
I don't know where the cursor is. Okay, so I think you can just use. Nope.
You click on the actual thing.
Oh, actually, on the
Okay.
screen. Okay,
All right.
so go back. Okay, so Ralph, hi, everybody. So Ralph wanted me to talk about my work with that.
Give her the microphone, please.
Oh, give you the mic. Oh my gosh.
You can't hear my big mouth? That's crazy.
Sorry.
Hi, everybody. Can you hear me now? Testing,
Yes.
testing. Oh, good. Okay. So Ralph wanted me to talk about my work with veterans and bring up my Native stuff and the work I do with Natives. So there's a lot of that encompasses me as far as my work with the VA. And so he wanted me to share what my work has been at the VA and what my work is with Natives. And so there's a lot of information on these slides. I'm not going to read everything. I'm going to kind of use them as bullet points. You guys can read them and then I'll just talk on some things on them. But you'll learn a lot about me. It's almost like a life story of mine, because there's nothing in my life that hasn't been the last 30 years that has to do with being a veteran or doing anything for veterans. So there's a lot on here. So feel free to learn more about me, I guess. So here's so this picture here is a picture of me at the last 2019 Bedford Powwow. This is when we had we had a group with us that came and brought they were falconers, and they actually brought live falcons and different things, and they had a demonstration. This was a beautiful red-tailed hawk that I got to hold for a little bit, but not during this picture because he would not sit still. The next thing. Okay, so here's my experience and why I know so much about veterans, right? First of all, I am a veteran, okay? But how I got to be a veteran, this is how I got to be a veteran, okay? So obviously prior to my Navy service, a lot of you guys don't know about me, I was a hairdresser first, okay? Which led me into a secondary job of being a nurse's aide because I was doing hair at the nursing home and I needed extra money for college. So I got a job as a nurse's aide. And while I was going to college to be a funeral director, embalmer, I was an apprentice funeral director embalmer. So, and I started that from hairdressing as well. So that's how I got into where I was. And I didn't think I was going to fall into the medical field. But when I got into the Navy, when I decided to join the Navy, I was joining the Navy primarily to be a Navy embalmer. And you had to be in the medical field. So hence why I had to be a corpsman. So a corpsman is a medic in the Navy that can do anything and everything that you could possibly imagine. A lot of times we're the only medical you have on the ship. So I've done knee surgeries, I've delivered babies, I've done a lot of stuff. I've taught doctors out of medical school how to do female gynecological exams and different things, and worked obstetrics and a bunch of stuff. So we have a lot of expertise. Unfortunately, by the time I got to be of the rank that I needed to be a Navy embalmer, they closed the school and the Navy didn't need any more embalmers anymore. So I took my GI Bill and said, see ya. So I left and I went to embalming college out in California. So here's where, when I was in the Navy, so here's where my military experience started with how I got experience in the military that helps me at the VA. So I worked at the Naval Hospital Portsmouth. In the Naval Hospital Portsmouth, I worked in the pain clinic, and I did a rotation, kind of like a doctor does as a fellowship. And I worked in sick call and obstetrics and pathology. I worked in the histology labs. Like I said, I worked labor delivery. So we did like a rotation, just like somebody would right out of medical school, right? And then I was stationed on the USNS Comfort for a little while. USNS Comfort at the time, this was the Clinton administration, so it was peacetime. So we didn't really have to go out for war because that's the only time the hospital ships get deployed is during war times. And recently it was here, it was in New York during COVID. It came to help this hospital situation in New York. And then my last naval station was in Concord, California, which is kind of like a secret base. It's not a secret anymore because it's not Navy anymore, it's Army. But when I was there, it was a naval weapons station. So there's 25 acres of land that have underground bunkers that have all kinds of military artillery in it. And I was running the clinic there. So, but a week before I got out of the Navy, we were transitioning the base to be given to the Army. So we moved out, they moved in. So about post Navy service, right? So I finished embalming college. I became a funeral director. I was licensed in 3 states, California, Mass, and Rhode Island. I did that up until I was about 35 years old. Started at 15, right? So it's 20 years of funeral service. And so I gave that up and I retired and I fell into my military career because I felt like as much as I wanted to be a mortician and an embalmer and all that, it wasn't me anymore. The military had changed me and I wanted to serve veterans. So I left my chosen profession that I worked so hard to get to, and I decided to be in the service of veterans. But my first job was at the Naval Medical Center in Portsmouth, in Newport, Rhode Island. So I was actually working for active duty at the time. So I was helping the active duty members stay healthy and get ready to be deployed. So I was deploying members, medically clearing them to be deployed to different places. So I have that experience as far as that goes. And then I decided to transfer to the VA. So I worked for the VA in Boston first. And then I came here to Bedford. And while I've been here at Bedford for 17 years, these are the positions that I held at Bedford. So thus far. And we'll get in a little more detail about that. So here I was told you about my experience in Newport, helping them, the active duty members get deployed. West Roxbury VA, when I worked there, I was working patient admissions, decedent affairs. I had to teach the doctors in VA Boston how to fill out death certificates correctly. So that was where my funeral business came into play there too. And that helped. It helped a lot of the area funeral home directors appreciated me being there and teaching them how to do that stuff because the government didn't teach them how to do that. And then here at Bedford, obviously I started in telephone triage at Bedford, helping veterans on the phone, getting the care they needed, getting them enrolled in the VA. And then I worked for the police department for 2 years, running the police department there with the chief and handling all the operations of the police department, getting all the police officers trained, going to federal court with the police officers, things like that, and helping veterans that way. And then I felt like I wanted to do something bigger. So I joined the network office for New England. So I worked for the chief medical officer for VA New England, who also, while I was in the military, was the White House physician for the Clinton administration. So we had a lot of experience and a lot of camaraderie there. And then after that, I decided I wanted to help veterans even further because being up in the network offices, I was so disconnected from the actual veterans because I was up here and the veterans receiving service. I never saw any, that I didn't like that. I felt like I wasn't doing enough for them. So I left that job and I took the patient advocate job at Bedford, and I was the longest standing patient advocate to date. 8 years I was there as the patient advocate, and I was the sole patient advocate. Since then I've changed the advocate program at Bedford. So now the advocates that are there now can have several advocates. They have a whole new tracking system. They have all the things that weren't in place when I was there. So it's a lot easier, less stressful job for them now than it was when I took it over. Because there was a high turnover of advocates in Bedford that they lasted about a year and they got burnt out and they would turn over. So now that I changed the whole program over there, it got national recognition. So now it's kind of like the model of how advocate programs are run in the VA. So I did that. Now I transitioned over to research. So now I help veterans get enrolled in research. And what research does is they get enrolled in these programs, and I help them get enrolled into these programs and talk to them about other research programs the VA is doing. And then what happens is those programs and the help that they give us in research helps the VA develop programs that are more useful and helpful to them. Because the thing is, we can think of things all day long, but if the veterans don't want them and it's not helpful to them, then they don't want it. So this helps them that way, and that's what I do now. So in addition to these roles that I have that are my job, I also am the special emphasis program manager for Native American activities at Bedford. I started that role in 2014, helping the person that was there before. And then when she retired, I took over in 2015. And I've been taking care of all that ever since. I take care of the volunteer. I coordinated voluntary services on opportunities with Bedford. I bridge the gap between all of these things that I do, because, you know, a big government organization, you don't know who to talk to. You need a warm handoff to things. So that's one thing that I do. And then in the community-based side, I share events. I share Native community events with VA events. I share VA events with the Native communities and other organizations too, like the DAV and all those other kind of things. So I'm just trying to go fast because of time. I don't want you guys to stay too long. So what I do as the special emphasis program manager. So this is what Ralph likes to hear about. Ralph likes to hear my work with the Native Americans. So my primary role is to make sure that we are diverse and we have equity inclusion for all Native American employees as well as veterans. So we make sure that we have programming in place. We have equal opportunity hiring opportunities. We have all kinds of things that are available, and we bridge the gap between the government and the Native Americans. Historically, Native Americans won't come to the government for help. We have to go to them. Okay, so what happens is I've established, and I'm in the process of establishing, a Bedford Native Circle, which is basically just a social circle for people who are natives, who want to connect with other natives that maybe that aren't around them, can get together, and I just facilitate the call, the location, make introductions, and they run the meeting themselves. It's kind of like their own little group social activity. In addition to when I'm doing the official things like, you know, holding the big powwows on campus or out in the community or having educational things. But I'm also connected to all the other Native American program managers like me across the nation. So like during different times of the year, I bridge that gap between people who are out west or in Hawaii or Alaska or whatever, work with people here, and we can get everybody together working as a team. And, you know, as a Native community, like, we like to talk about all nations. So as much as people don't think there are Native Americans in Massachusetts or there aren't Native Americans around, they are around everywhere. So this way I bridge the gap to keep them all connected, and we're all in a communication loop all the time. So we're sharing information and what people are doing and what they're doing at other VAs, and then we're spreading it to other VAs as well. Education, so educating people about the Native community, educating people about what is appropriate, what's not appropriate, what are the norms, how you approach a Native community, how you adapt to the Native community, how you talk to the Native community, like even providers at the hospital. Like, I help them make sure they include, asking them about their Native diet. When you're talking to doctors are talking to them about their physicals and their health and different things, and letting them realize that they have a whole Native culture that has to be incorporated in their healthcare. So that's kind of something I do as a Native American program manager too. As a researcher now, and my role getting the veterans enrolled in research, I share information, and I brought some brochures of some current studies that we're doing that you're welcome to take and share them with veterans if you want. But these are studies that they enroll in, and they help us out with. And there's some of them are studies that are 2 visits, 3 visits, 12 visits, and they all have incentives. So as much as they're helping us, we help them by paying them for their time. So they may get gift cards, or they may get, cash incentives or different things to help us. It's kind of win-win. In addition, so have you not got it yet? That, like, my life is all veterans, right? Veterans service, veterans, everything, right? Well, guess what? Outside of the VA, besides being a Rotary member with you guys, which I didn't put on here because you guys all know that about me, I'm also enrolled. I'm also a member of the Disabled American Veterans. As far as the Disabled American Veterans go, I'm the Senior Vice Commander currently at the chapter in Billerica. And recently, 3 years ago, I was elected to the state office, DAV office. So for the state, so I cover all of the DAV members and all the chapters within District 4. So everything from here up to the North Shore. So that's kind of what I cover. And so I'm a board of director there. I have to attend state meetings and I have to help them bring legislature to the state and to Washington to help with veterans issues. And obviously, and another thing that's part of that role is I'm also a licensed claims officer. So if I have a veteran that wants to put a claim in for disability, I can help them do that. And then they put in their benefits for extra benefits to get benefits through the VA. And obviously, you guys all know Hannon. So with Canine Companions, you guys know, recently I became the national spokesperson on social media and TV and all kinds of news things for me and Hannon to help veterans apply for service dogs and be look at the and be oh, that's so cute. Yeah, you can see him, he's cute. But that's so I help with all kinds of area events. I'm part of the Bay Area chapter here, and I do all kinds of appearances and volunteer work with them, just so that veterans know that there's an opportunity for them to get a service dog, and if they ever need anything, that I can help them out. And I'm also on their Salute to Independence board, which helps recognize veterans every year on Veterans Day, and I help them choose the veterans that they are going to honor every year in New York. And then another charity. So in my religious faith, I'm an ordained high priestess and an elder in the temple of the Cabot Kent Hermetic Temple in Salem, Massachusetts, and the co-founder of the Military Ministry for Service Members. So we have a Facebook page that connects like-minded faith-based Hermetic Temple faiths and pagan faiths to military members serving abroad. So we share all of our temple rituals and services to them no matter where they are around the world. So we do that. I'm also a certified teacher that I teach the tradition and to anybody who wants to learn it. And an international ambassador. So when I've gone to places like England or, in January, I'm going to Egypt. I spread the word, whoever wants to learn it, if they want to learn. And how I know John Castricum is I'm part of the Bedford Clergy Network here in Bedford as well, as my faith. So who's a veteran, right? Everyone asked me that question. Who's a veteran? How do you categorize a veteran, right? So veterans are anyone who served over 90 days, right? If you completed your first 90 days active duty, you're a veteran, okay? Even if you served 6 months after boot camp and you got hurt and you're out, you're still a veteran. If you don't pass boot camp, you're not a veteran. That's basically it. And then it gives you what the VA covers, war eras, those kind of things, right? And then service organizations that are also helping with the VA. So these are places, partnerships that we can work with as Rotary and partner up with to do more things for veterans as well, if we want to do more things for veterans. And then this is just some data about Bedford, which a lot of Bedford, I know you guys has been here a long time, but nobody really understands how much we encompass in Bedford. So this is here that we have, 3 community-based clinics, Haverhill, Gloucester, and Lynn. We have the big hospital here, as you know, and then this gives you some stats about the hospital itself, how many employees there are, how many beds, and then it includes all the stakeholders that are part of making our hospital successful. And then also, because I know, Victor, he's a great ambassador for, I look at Victor like, he's at MIT, he's connected with all the universities. And the great thing about the academic affiliations that's involved with Bedford are all listed here. We have all these medical affiliations with all these colleges. So we get students, we're a teaching hospital, we have students that come here, we have researchers that come here. We spread the word that way. And a lot of our doctors and a lot of our staff that work at Bedford also teach at these colleges. So we have a nice round community of information that comes in and out of the VA. And then here are some parts of the hospital that if you want to support the programs, you can. They're obviously not all listed, but these are the ones that usually are looking for help, from the community. So whether it be, the hospice unit, whether it be the prenatal, like women's health, a lot of people don't realize that the VA has a women's health because we have primary care, but the VA won't see children. We do pay for our military children and our veteran children to be seen in the community. So a lot of people didn't know that. And we have a lot of a lot of community care that's going on. So even if you are not eligible to be seen at the VA does have programs to help you be covered in the community, whether you're the spouse of a veteran or a family member of a veteran, that kind of thing. That's basically it in a nutshell. Any questions? Yeah, go ahead, Al. I was on the USS Comfort. Let's see, 94 I joined. I was in 96 to 96 to 97. I didn't have to go to Haiti, no. I didn't have to go to Haiti. Matter of fact, when the Comfort went to Haiti, I was still I was still in my rotation, so I couldn't go yet. We just missed each other. We just missed each other, Al. And then that last slide has my contact information. So if you guys do want to,
Yeah.
I have to go meet Mark.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
so did you guys learn anything about me you didn't know? All right, that's it. Yes. Yep. Oh, yeah.
One of the items
Sit.
highlighted was the number of indigenous people, it's a huge percentage that actually go into our military. They are one of the
Yes.
strongest supporters of it.
Yeah, and the reason why Bedford has historically put on powwows at Bedford for the last 40 years. And the reason that happens is because there is a very high population of Native Americans that are in the military. It's part of their culture. They're warriors,
Yeah.
you know, and there are a lot of cultures that we owe a lot to the Native Americans, and a lot of reasons why we owe the Native Americans. So
But the point that I was getting at is a lot of them are getting into the services that the VA provides. And it helps to promote that and keep it going.
right, yeah, a lot of them, right, unless we go to them, they don't come to us asking us for help with the government. You know, they're kind of gun shy from the government, rightly so. So, you know, we have to go to them and we have to offer our services to them.
But you're doing that.
Bob, you had a question?
I did. One of the things, many things that Tracy did not mention
here.
is that she's picked up the gauntlet from Bob Mead on collecting tabs.
Oh, I did. Yes,
And so we ought to save the tab, put a little, there you go. So I got 3.
nice.
And if you just put a little cup on your counter when you have a can of Coke or a can of whatever, throw the tab in the can, and then when you get 50 or 60 of them, bring them in here.
Well, and I also do it for the DAV. So I actually have it when I collect for you guys, for us, and I collect for the DAV, I keep them separate. Do you know what I mean? So I know how many come from Rotary and how many come from the DAV. And they,
How do you count them? They're in a-
I got a system.
Yeah. Figure that out.
All right. All right, I'm gonna pass the microphone. Bye, you guys.
Days.
Hey, John had to leave. Oh, she's actually outside. She's actually outside the window. She had to bring something out to Al. So I guess we'll just close the meeting.
She
I'll
take
do
the
it
microphone
for-
with her.
Leave it out.
Dawn must
Holidays,
have taken
Jim.
the microphone with her.
Stand up on some of the studies that are going on right now. And then this is just some information I use for like helping the Native American group. So like, there's a statement we have on identity, what identity means. There's nutrition, which there is native plate. So how to like how to eat healthy as a Native American, which is very cool. And I had some in round to see these are some coloring books and some educational material that we give kids, which is really cool about like keeping them Native American. So.
Well, Jim and Terry, here, bye. Bye,
Take care.
Dawn.
Be sure to get the microphone back
But
from Dawn. I think she went off with it.
I know, that's why it's okay.
And Terry, I thought you were trying to go incognito. I hope your infection clears soon and fully.
Yeah. Those are amazing shades.
Yeah, thanks, Jim. Yeah, it looks like it's slowly going away. I'm
Wow.
told it takes a while, so.
Mm. Do you have to put drops in? Like,
They gave me some ointment with antibiotics in it.
yeah. I remember when I had cataract surgery and afterwards, it's like 3-4 times a day, you had to put drops in your eyes and it's like, I was
Yeah.
dropping them on my cheek and everywhere wet.
Hey, hey.
That's where Victor comes in.
It wasn't around.
Oh, all right, I can switch this to be off of,
Here's Dawn.
Yeah, there's Dawn. I don't think she hears us.
She lost the camera somewhere. I
No,
mean,
the,
mic.
yeah, the phone went to the,
Yeah.
somewhere else. It's okay. Okay. Hi, Dawn. Hi, Dawn. I'm getting off. Here, all.
Okay. Do you want me to
Be
turn
happy.
off, or do they turn off automatically?
Automatic.
Oh, that's
We see you now, we
amazing.
hear you.
Yeah, I like it a lot.
So the other thing is they have mute buttons. So press the
Oh,
mute button
yeah.
there. It goes red.
Oh,
So you
that's
know
nice.
that it's-
Yeah, I like that. I like how it goes red. Okay.
I'll go order another.
Yeah, that would be amazing. And then just bill Joel, it's fine.
So I'm like, it's still working.
Okay, give Joan my best and I hope you all have a nice Christmas.
Thank you.
Yeah, ditto.
Yeah.
All right, I guess they muted us, so I'm gonna take off.
Maybe in there, but yeah, take care, folks. Good night.
Tracy. I gotta tell you something you may not know. I switched over to January.
Yeah.
Sorry.
All the